Voice.
Ho'oponopono. Love, peace, all gifts from God. Aloha, nui nui, humehana.
This is Michelle with Brightway Wellness, bringing you Ho'oponopono from Hawaii. Love, peace, forgiveness, and thanks.
I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you.
Aloha.
Now 7 p.m. and it's time for lunch. Hi, everybody. This is Around the Table live from the City of Gastronomy, where each and every day we invite the most interesting and influential tastemakers, newsmakers, lawmakers, style makers, movers and shakers, healers, foodies, and friends. We save the seat at the head of the table for you, our guest of honor. Are we on? Awesome. Nice to see you. So, today's election day, and I think it's one of those unusual election days because am I correct in understanding that there's actually you don't go to the polling place, you mail it all in? Well, we're going to find out. The mayoral race is hotly contested. A lot's at stake. Much is on the line. And we're going to be talking a little later on in this hour to Kelly Fryer, former gubernatorial candidate Kelly Fryer, who is going to be calling in and reminding everybody that if they haven't voted yet, if they haven't gotten their vote in the mailbox to do so, that it is still time to get that done. Last night, we had an amazing event in the City of Gastronomy right here. We had the knife fight. And the knife fight took place at the playground, and the participants were really, they were on top of their game. And of all the venues that host knife fight, the playground really, it was so fun. It was super fun. It felt like it was designed just for this competition of chef-on-chef competition. Chef against chef, blind box, secret ingredients, 3 courses, 45 minutes, tight time, tight deadlines. Give it a taste of place. A little later on, the knife fighters are going to be calling in and sharing what happened last night. They had cocktail fight as well. And the secret ingredients were really delicious. Poblano chilies, huitlacoche. You want to know where you are in the world, all you need to do is take one sip and one bite, and you got a really distinctive, bright, memorable expression of how this place tastes. And later on in the show, we are going to talk with Linda Ray. She's going to be joining us to talk comedy. And the thing about the comedy scene in Tucson is that she covers it for Tucson Weekly and will tell us about some of the best shows around and how to spend our time this weekend. Of course, every Wednesday we speak with Jeff Gardner, who's the associate editor of Tucson Weekly, and he comes and talks to us about what's coming up on the next issue, which always drops on Thursdays. Of course, Thursdays, we go to Tucson Foodie headquarters, and we do the Tucson Foodie edition live from the City of Gastronomy, from downtown. And what's really fun about that is every Thursday, we go live on remote to the Tucson Foodie headquarters, and all the downtown chefs and all the downtown foodies that are slammed at lunchtime can steal away for a few minutes and still come and be with us and come be with us live. So, and not only that, we get the Tucson Foodie crew. So rather than, making the mountain come to Mohammed, we go there and we make them really a big part of the show. The Tucson Foodie crew are really gaining a name for themselves too. Melissa Steele was there last night at the knife fight, and she was the one who was videoing and chronicling live on Facebook Live. And Jackie Tran is one of the hardest working and most discerning culinary journalist working in the U.S. today. His reviews and his opinions are becoming very quickly the gold standard of where to go and what to eat in this town. You know, I hate to say it, but guys like Jackie Tran, who really do go everywhere and taste everything with discernment and connoisseurship, they almost render things like Yelp obsolete, because why would you need anything else or anyone else when you have somebody like Jackie Tran giving you a sense of where everything is delicious. And a shout out to the Chef Wang. We were there recently for a dinner with out-of-town guests who had lived in Asia and wanted to, really with very limited expectations of the old Pueblo, said, well, sure, yeah, we can get Chinese food. So they were so happily surprised that the things that they were accustomed to eating when they lived in Asia were met and matched by the cuisine of Chef Wang. So we want to give Chef Wang's on Grant Road a shout out and some well-deserved kudos for the delicious cuisine that they're preparing. And we would love to hear from you. 520-790-2040. 520-790-2040. This is Around the Table, where each and every day we talk to the most interesting tastemakers, lawmakers, style makers, movers, and shakers in town. And by the way, you want to see what's going on in here? You want to see all of my Michigas in person? You want to see how much I carry around with me? I'm like a hermit crab. I live with my house on my back, right? With this giant backpack. But yeah, you can go to kvoi.com and you can click Watch It Now, and you can see what we're up to here in the studio. So hang on one second. All this debris and detritus down off the desk. So here's what I want to know. I'm gonna throw it out there, and I think everybody on the station is going to do the same throughout the day because it's election day. We want to hear from you. 520-790-2040. Have you got your ballot in? Have you voted yet? And do you want to talk about who you voted for? I know we don't usually do a lot of political things because we're having lunch, but today's election day, and we've had candidates on in the weeks leading up to this, and we'd love to hear from you. 520-790-2040. Who'd you vote for? Are you allowed to say? Are we allowed to ask that? Is that like an FCC thing? I don't know. I don't mean to break a rule inadvertently. But if you want to talk about it, I'd love to hear from you. The other thing is that this is going to be Labor Day weekend coming up. And for a lot of people, Labor Day weekend is this really pivotal time between the summer and the autumn, back to school. If you're from any other part of the world, like I'm from New England, Labor Day was when you went back to school. We've already been back here a couple of weeks, but in places around the country, you went to school and started school after Labor Day. And so if you started school after Labor Day, this became the last hurrah, so to speak. And there would almost inevitably and always be fantastic barbecues. And depending on what part of the world you were from and what your culinary traditions were and your family traditions were, you could have ended up with any manner of things. Because barbecue, and in the traditional family eat outside, cook on a grill sense, isn't just about what we now know barbecue to be, which is low and slow and smoky. And so we're going to be talking a little later on this week with Ken Alexander from Ken's Hardwood Barbecue. Because if you want some of the best, really delicious traditional barbecue and sides for your Labor Day weekend party, this is the place I'm going to send you to. Ken's Hardwood Barbecue is located on 22nd between Craycroft and Wilmot. And I think they're really super. They do a terrific job. Now, there's a lot going on in the world of chicken and waffles, too, because as you remember, we had Chef Russell Michelle from the Canyon Ranch last week. He's the executive chef at the Canyon Ranch Spa. And he had a group in that requested chicken and waffles. And, of course, when you do it Canyon Ranch style, you're going to get it lightened up and brightened up. You're going to get it nice and healthy, ultra delicious. And it's just not going to be that bland, heavy, greasy that you can find if somebody does the chicken and waffles in an ordinary way. So imagine that it's becoming a thing here in Tucson. It's becoming a thing actually around the country. People are paying a lot of attention to chicken and waffles. And where would you go? We're getting some conflicting reports where the best in town. I am a big Drunken Chicken fan because I think their chicken and waffles are delicious. But we're getting a lot of red flashing arrows pointing at the new Prep and Pastry, saying that they are the ones that are actually elevating that game. I still have to include my favorite fried chicken in town on its own from Gus Ballon's. I love Gus Ballon's. I can't say that I've had their waffle, but, I bet if you ordered it together, it would be pretty superb. I don't think they're designed to go together, but I'd put that in there with everybody or anybody else's. I bet it's pretty good. So where is your favorite chicken and waffles in town? 520-790-2040. And we also want to make mention of the fact that Restaurant Week is coming up. Not just any restaurant week, Sonoran Restaurant Week. The region is going to be celebrating with Price Feeks menus at lunch and dinner at some of our favorite places throughout the region. Not strictly and just in downtown Tucson, but in the Sonoran region. So we're going to enjoy that, and a little later on, we're going to talk with Laura Reese and the good folks at the Sonoran Restaurant Week, and so much more. We're going to take a very quick break, our first break of the day. We'd love to hear from you. 520-790-2040 is the number. This is Around the Table. Where are you having lunch today? Give me a call. I'm a little hungry, can you tell? I'm talking about food a lot, although that's my job. All right, we'll be back with more right after this.
Use your voice. Call in now. 790-2040.
Tucson, football season is here and it's time to get fired up. Get to Arizona Stadium and back the A.
Make it a date night. Bring your friends or grab your kids and
back the A. Make some noise and experience the excitement live.
Back the A.
Get your tickets now and back the A.
Go to ArizonaWildcats.com/FB for tickets or call 621-CATS. 621-CATS.
Bear down and back the A.
This is Bruce Thurston of FineWoodSpoons.com. Everything you cook with one of my spoons will taste better. Jennifer English is making Tucson taste better. Don't miss Around the Table on KVOI, The Voice.
Hi, I'm LeVar Burton, and I'm proud to be a book person. Every child deserves to have access to books because children who grow up with books invariably do better in life than children who do not. How do I choose a book? Is it the cover? Yeah, I guess, sometimes it's the cover, sometimes it's the title. I guess I'm pretty visual, so it's a combination of those two. The first book I remember was Captains Courageous. When I finished that book, I had become so involved with these characters. So here's the thing. If a book's really, really impressing me and the writing is really, really good, I will peek and see what the last paragraph is. Because the endings of books, if it's really, really well done, that ending, that last thought should rock you. I am a book person, and if you're a book person too, read to a child and spark a lifetime of ambition. Join me at bookpeopleunite.org because reading is fundamental. A public service announcement brought to you by Reading is Fundamental, Library of Congress, and the Ad Council.
This time next week, I'll be sick in bed with West Nile virus, thanks to a mosquito bite right in front of my house.
In 8 minutes, my daughter will be in an ambulance, having an asthma attack, triggered by cockroaches.
I'm going to be bitten by a tick today. I won't even know it until Lyme disease turns my life upside down.
Learn how to protect your family at pestworld.org. A public service message from the National Pest Management Association and the CDC.
This is it. Make no mistake where you are. This is it.
Hello, everybody. I'm Steve Rivera, host of Eye on the Ball, where we talk about more than the score. We talk about what's happening on the sports scene and reminisce about the good old days. Join me for Eye on the Ball weekdays 5 to 7 p.m. on 1030 The Voice. Trusted local news and talk.
This is it. Make no mistake where you are. This is it.
Trusted local news and talk all day, every day. 1030 The Voice.
welcome back. It's 1:21 p.m. and I feel so naked today, and I couldn't figure out why do I feel so naked. I'm not wearing my apron today. So every day I come to the studio, and if you watch us on YouTube Live by going to 1030 The Voice, you can see the studio and you can see our guests and you can see what's going on. I've got all phone-in guests today, so it's just sort of, you can peep in and see what I'm doing, because somebody might want to do that. Because somebody might want to be checking out to make sure that I am where I say that I'm supposed to be or something. And I'm feeling a little naked today, and it's because I didn't wear my apron. But I wear my aprons every day because that's what I do, because I didn't go to culinary school, and I'm not a chef. I'm a cook. I'm a good cook. I'm a decent cook. I'm not a great cook, but I'm a loving cook. In fact, everything I do with great love. And I think you can taste that. I think you can hear it. I think you can feel it. Now, some things I'm really, really, really good at. and the things that I'm really good at, that's kind of like my zone of genius. And I was watching Gary Vaynerchuk on YouTube and Instagram the other day. And he was talking about the fact that if you, at this point in your life, are doing stuff that you're not good at, and you're not getting outstanding results because you're not doing the things you are good at, and you keep doing the stuff that you're not good at, no one's going to feel sorry for you for doing something other than that thing you're supposed to be doing. And how do you know what that is? You've got to know yourself. You've got to know what you're good at. You've got to know how to put yourself in the position to be doing the thing that you're really good at, and to not be asking yourself to do all the stuff that you're not good at. So I'm the world's worst housewife. I am fun in lots of ways, and I'm a great cook. I'm a fantastic parent, but I'm not a great duster. If you want to come over to my place and see if you can take a white glove and run it along and have no dust on the end of your fingertip of the glove, yeah, that is so not me. That is just not me. So, but Gary Vaynerchuk, if you don't know Gary Vaynerchuk, he's the president of Vayner Media, and he's a frequent guest on the show with us for many years back in the day. And he's based out of New York, and he's first generation. His parents immigrated from one of the stans in Russia. And he is really a self-made man, and his goal is to buy the New York Jets. Grew up loving the Jets. Has a very definite point of view, very passionate, very definite point of view of just about everything. And so Gary V is how people call him. And so Gary V was talking about this very thing, about knowing who you are, knowing who you want to be, being self-aware, being good at the thing you're good at, and not putting yourself in a position of doing the stuff you're not good at. And he used the phrase triple down. You know how some people say you got to double down? And double down's that expression when you're playing blackjack, that if you got aces and you got a pair of something, you could split them, and then you could double your bet and go for the gold. Go big or stay home. He went one step further and said you have to triple down on all the things that you're really, really good at. And to me, there is nothing truer you can say. So last night when we were watching Knife Fight, as it took place at the playground downtown, and it's kind of a late night thing. So I think it starts at like 8:30 p.m. It's open to the public, and the whole thing is a fundraiser for Pat Connors Foundation that has emergency relief monies for people in the hospitality industry who might not have health insurance, or their car was in an accident, now they have no transportation. It's really like emergency first line of falling through the cracks, like make sure you don't fall through the cracks kind of stuff. And it's a really noble cause, because these are the boys and girls who work really tirelessly in the hospitality industry to make this the city of gastronomy. You can't have a city of gastronomy without these remarkably talented people generously welcoming you, making hospitality come to life, thriving and living in the hospitality. And when you go to events like the Gastronomic Union of Tucson dinner on Sunday night or the knife fight last night, you have to recognize that this is an exceptional, exceptional city for the camaraderie and the collegiality and the talent and the flat out love and intention of everybody that's working in this business. Because if you're here because you want to be. And if you're working in this business, it's because you have to, you want to. There are plenty of ways you could make a little bit more money or a lot more money. There are plenty of jobs that are not as physically demanding, taxing, almost painful. This is an industry that asks a lot of the people who are in it. And so when you get a chance to say thank you back by going to a knife fight, by buying a raffle ticket, by cheering them on, by seeing them playing amongst themselves, one another competing, it's really a very, very special, very privileged kind of experience. Because I'm telling you, cities all over the country, much bigger than Tucson, with maybe even more renowned restaurateurs, TV chefs, celebrity chefs, Los Angeles, New York, Las Vegas. They don't have what we have, which is a bona fide sense of culture and community. So I was watching Mrs. Maisel not long ago, and they have a character on that show called Sophie Lennon. And her catchphrase was, "Put that on your plate," which I thought was always funny. I've never used it, but it seemed kind of apropos for this. So coming up soon, we are going to be talking with the good folks from Knife Fight. Michael Elefante is going to be with us today. Kelly Fryer is going to be with us momentarily to talk about the upcoming election. Today is Election Day. We'd love to hear from you. 520-790-2040. Please give us a call and let us know what you're doing for Election Day. And we're talking a little later on with Linda Ray, who is the comedy correspondent for the Tucson Weekly. And we would love to welcome all of you to join us for some great comedy. I had no idea that Tucson had as rich a comedy scene as we have a rich craft beer scene and as rich a food culture. We have in these three areas, laughing, drinking beer, and eating, some of the best in the country. And how lucky are we? By the way, I want to say shout out to the good folks at Sausage Shop. So I got some links of hot Italian sausage the other day, and Ken and his team over there have really, they're just doing amazingly well. Their incredible hot Italian sausage was so delicious. So let me tell you what we did. So I was at an event with Mike Malazzi from Borderlands Brewing, and we were working on a little project together. And I happened to have the hot Italian sausage, and I also happened to have a Bolillo roll in a plastic bag in my purse. And I think that begs the question, did you think you were going on Let's Make a Deal? Remember Monty Hall? I will give you $50 if you have a hard-boiled egg in your purse. That's kind of how I'm rolling these days, in between shows. So I want you to imagine that we've got this fantastic Italian hot sausage link and a Bolillo roll. And Mike and I are like dreaming of how delicious this is going to be. And he said, you know what I'd love to try? I would love to try cooking this in some of the Borderlands seasonal brew that we have. And so I let him make the choice. And so what happened first was there was a room temperature, like an infusion. I don't want to call it poaching, because poaching means you have some more temperature to it, like it was actually cooking. So it was marinating in Borderlands beer. And then it got cooked. And it got cooked in a different batch of Borderlands beer, so that when it was completely juicy and cooked, it was plump, and it had stayed nice and plump and it was like those fantastic hot dogs you'd get from one of those vendors back in the day where they like sit in that hot bath. This was like that, only it was much more flavorful and much more delicious. And so that combination of the split, soft, wonderful Balula roll. And would somebody call me and tell me how to pronounce that correctly? Because I always mess that up. And the hot link of Italian sausage from the sausage shop. I'm telling you, we were all dialed in. It was so delicious. I would like that. And twice on Sunday. Anyway, we split that and we tasted it. We tasted a couple friends on it. And everybody was in agreement. It was absolutely delicious. So thank you to Mike Malazzi from Borderlands for inspiring a new way of infusing even more flavor into the already delicious sausage shop. And I know that the sausage shop crew, longtime friends of this station, longtime friends of the hosts here. I know Christy Simone and I are both big fans of what they're doing over there. I suspect my good friend Matt Russell is as well. We're working on the pie contest, by the way, that we dreamed up with Apple Annie's Orchard. So Mandy from Apple Annie's was on with us last week, and we dreamed up a pie contest because the peaches are still on the trees, which is impossible to think about, but it's true. The peaches, the Arizona peaches, are still clinging to the vines and limbs of the tree. Not vines, the branches and limbs of the tree. So these tree ripening fresh Arizona peaches, I could stop right there. But then we're going to make, and this is for you, Michelle Cardenas from Brightway Wellness, we're going to make crumble top pies. And not only are we going to have crumble top pies, but I'm actually going to bring a crumble top pie with me to the first Tucson Pops concert of the autumn season in September. So let's just fast forward to the beginning of September. We've got the Tucson Pops coming back. We've got Sonoran Restaurant Week. There's a lot going on. U of A's going to get back into action. So with all of these things, you're going to be tailgating at the Pops. You're going to be tailgating at the U of A. You might even have kids sporting events. Canyon View Little League is back in action. There's a lot going on, and you're going to want to have some signature dishes to bring with you to these tailgating moments. So let's get back to Apple Annie's and the pie contest and the peaches as I ramble. The peaches are so good right now that we dreamed up having the ultimate listener pie contest. Now, this isn't an original idea. I've been a judge in pie contests for many years. I've been a judge at the National Pie Championships in Celebration, Florida. It was seen on Food Network. And I love pie, going way back. I think some great pie is already made in town here. I love the rhubarb pie at Gus Ballon's. I love the pies at the Beeline. The Cup at the Hotel Congress has some great pie. But do you make a great pie? I make a decent pie, but do you make a great pie? We're going to have a listener event where we're going to have everybody come and meet us down at Apple Annie's, and we're all going to get our fruit, and then we're going to go make our pies, and then we're going to bring them back together here at the station or someplace. We're working out where we're going to do that, because if we have a lot of people, we don't have enough room here to do it. So we might do it as part of our Tucson foodie event. And we're going to say who makes the best pie in Tucson. Now, they do this in other cities. My good friend Evan Kleiman, who hosts a radio station, radio show similar to this in Los Angeles, does a very similar kind of pie experience. And we're going to reach out to her and get some advice about how to get the best pies that your community has to offer. But when you have those peaches late in the season like we do, it is going to be impossible not to have delicious pie offered up. So we want to steer you towards thinking about these pies, and we're going to do that later on in September while the peaches are still on the trees, probably in the next 3 weeks. And we're working out all the details now. But if you want to be involved, give us a call, 520-790-2040. Also, who do you think makes the best pie in town? I'm kind of working on a celebrity judge. So Tim Walsh, who is the pizza review guy of Southern Arizona, he's the one bite guy. He's the guy with the great big fuzzy beard who works at the Good Oak Bar and at Mr. Head's and goes out and does these pizza reviews like the Barstool League guys do. And he goes to our favorite pizza stores around Tucson, and he pulls a slice and he goes, hey, you know the rules. One bite. And you watch him eat a hot, fresh slice of pizza. It's riveting because he's a New Yorker and he does it with this authentic exuberance. And he's really spot on with his reviews. He gets very specific with the numbers, like 7.2. It's not on a scale of 1 to 10. It's not a 7. It's not an 8. It's a 7.2. Like, he'll get real specific. And so I'm hoping that his expertise and connoisseurship with pizza pies will translate into an experience of judging pie, two-crust pie, crumble top pie, fresh fruit pie. And so that's what we're working on right now. We are going to take another quick break. And when we come back, it's lunchtime here in the Old Pueblo. Live from the city of gastronomy, this is AM 1030 The Voice. Trusted local news and talk on the World Wide Web and around the world on kvoi.com. We'll be right back.
We have lots of ideas and even some solutions. 1030, The Voice.
On September 8th, Law Matters will host the first of their fundraising Sunday Brunch Lecture Series at the Westward Look Resort. We are honored to have Eric Bauer, Esquire, tell us the behind-the-scenes story of legally going after sex trafficking and the eventual FBI takedown of Backpage. But the story doesn't stop there. Details and tickets are available on lawmatters1030.org. Please join us for Sunday Brunch and every Saturday morning at 8 for our live Law Matters show.
Cruising the Sea of Cortez has never been easier. With our 11-night Treasures of the Sea of Cortez cruising from Puerto Peñasco, also known as Rocky Point, Cruise and Maritime Voyages offers free round-trip transfer to and from Puerto Peñasco.
Woke up. I couldn't speak or walk. 145/90, so I never see this coming.
If you've come off your treatment plan, get back on it. Or talk with your doctor to create an exercise, diet, and medication plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
Head to toe, everything's changed. Head to toe.
Brought to you by the American Heart Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
John C. Scott is hosting one of the longest-running political talk shows in Arizona. John C. Scott features interviews with elected officials, candidates, reporters, consultants, and voters on KVOI AM 1030, The Voice, the John C. Scott Political Forum.
The John C. Scott Show, heard weekday afternoons from 3 to 5 on 1030 Trusted Local News and Talk.
Trusted local news and talk. 1030, The Voice.
It's 1:40 p.m. and it's time for lunch. Welcome back, everybody. Hi, this is Around the Table live from the city of gastronomy, 1:40 p.m. And here we break bread with the most interesting and influential newsmakers, tastemakers, lawmakers, style makers, movers and shakers, healers, foodies, friends. Michael Elefante is one of the co-creators and driving forces behind one of the most fun, delicious events in town for the hospitality industry and for our community. It's called Knife Fight. And this year's edition of Knife Fight is the best ever. Last night, they competed at the playground downtown at the corner of Congress. And up on that elevated second floor outdoor playland, they had head-to-head competitions between 4 of our community's best chefs. Secret ingredients, just like on TV. Judges, just like on TV. A cocktail competition to start the evening off. And all of it to raise money for the foundation that supports this industry, started by the late Pat Connors. I still can't believe I'm saying those words. I still can't believe he's gone, but he was our buddy. And something has happened when we lose people in our community like him, like Frankie Santos. I think something has gelled our community so bondedly together that it's really not like any other place in the country. Our chefs are friends. They're not competitors. They're colleagues. It's collegial. We're friends. This is the thing you want to see. Friends up against friends having a friendly competition that happens to be ultra delicious. Thank you, Michael Elefante and Gary Hickey from the Charo family. This Knife Fight edition is great, and it's going on for several more weeks, and you could come out and see it on the phone lines now after a big, fun late night with these guys cooking their hearts out. We welcome Michael Elefante to talk about Knife Fight. How are you, sir?
I'm great. How are you?
Listen, I have to say respect and kudos to you because this event has been growing over the last 4 years, and I want to give you the chance to tell people all about. I'm going to have you turn your radio down just a little bit. I want you to tell everybody a little bit about how Knife Fight got started, because this is something that isn't like anything else in the country.
Yeah. So originally it got started as me. Well, when I came back from the Ritz and I came back to the to the family's place, I needed something to give me an outlet to cook and be creative and challenge myself, because we used to do kind of little random competitions up at the hotel to challenge each other. And when I came back to the restaurant, I didn't have that, and I wanted it. And so once we started the ball rolling with Gut and everybody, kind of getting together and getting this camaraderie going, I brought up the idea and I said, hey guys, how do you feel about a real cooking competition? And we kind of based it loosely off of a TV show that kind of had another, three kind of secret ingredient, but it was supplied by this guy. So we wanted to take it and make it better. And I started brainstorming with Gary, because Gary was all about it. And we said, how can we make this better? How can we make this Tucson? And we said, well, why don't we make each chef bring their own ingredient, so that each chef will bring their own secret ingredient, and then the hosting location will have a secret ingredient, and that'll make 3 dishes. You got to put 1 in each dish, and it really challenges people. So you've got you've got a little ace up your sleeve that you know what you're going to do, and then the other 2 are just complete wild cards, and you don't know what's going to happen. And it's really led to some really fun challenges. You get to see this raw emotion of oh my, what is that? What am I going to do with this? And they have to figure it out. And it every time you're up there, I tell people, I'm like, 45 minutes. It seems like an eternity, but it literally goes by in the blink of an eye.
It goes so fast.
Yeah, you're watching it and you're like, oh, I could do this. But when you're up there and you're cooking, you're like, oh my God, I got 15 minutes left. I'm freaking out.
So listen, Chef Michael Elefante is joining us as in his role as the sort of co-creator of Knife Fight. When you talk about this, I think people are really surprised. We know about the shows on TV that are the chef versus chef competitions and blind box kind of competitions. I don't think people realize that chefs actually, to hone their skills and sharpen their skills and really raise their creativity, this kind of thing actually happens in the industry. So the TV shows are actually reflective of the kind of things that already existed for the pros that most of us didn't know about.
Yeah, and it's brought it to light, and it gives everyone a chance to kind of make a little Cinderella story of their own.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we've had some really, you take these really awesome chefs who are well-known, and sometimes you get a sleeper and a little Cinderella story, and they take them out, and it's, it shakes up the industry, and everybody's talking about it for a while, and it's really cool. It creates a really unique buzz, and you find out something about yourself up there, and it dials you in, and it gets you excited for your craft.
All right, talk a little bit about the fact that it happens this time of year. And along with the Gastronomic Union of Tucson, summertime or non-season becomes the time of year when everybody that really kills themselves all year long, working doubles and 14 and 15-hour days, gets a chance to do the really fun stuff that they got into this business for. Would you talk about that and remind people that are listening about what happens in this industry at this time of year?
So in the industry, we refer to it as two seasons. You've got you've got season, which we don't put a busy season or anything like that. We just call it season. And then you've got competition season. And competition season is kind of where you go around and you try and hone your craft. You try and make yourself better. You try and, we're part of Gut, where we get to play around and make ourselves better. With Tucson Originals, we do a ton of cooking competitions all year where we invite, other people to come and do those. and then you've got night fights. So it's really a fun, slow season to play around, mix and mingle with everybody, because during season, you know, from basically October to sometimes April or May, you really don't have any of that
Right.
time.
And then you need
So
at least a month to recuperate, and the next thing you know, you're doing these fun events in the summertime. And I want to make sure people know about these, because this is what really distinguishes Tucson. We're not named the city of gastronomy because of this, but if you ever wanted prima facie evidence of the fact that the reason we are a city of gastronomy is because things like this do happen here that don't happen in other cities, it's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, it's a true blessing, and in this community, I haven't experienced anything like it. You know, I talk to chefs in different parts of the country, and you know, tell them what we're doing here, and they're like, "Ah, man, you know, I really want to do something like that here, or I don't even know if we have that here. I don't know if we have that kind of community here," and it's a shame because, you know, for a while, we were all like, you know, everybody was kind of trying to be like, I'm better, this is my thing, you know, and then all of a sudden, it just, you know, Gut came around and Tucson Chefs came around, and it just brought everybody together, and it's made for such an amazing experience here that, you know, there's some of us who are just like, you know, this is a once in a lifetime kind of experience that we're all going through, and we're happy to hone our craft in front of people and allow people to experience it, and you know, allow us to be better, and it makes us better.
Michael, I know that when you at your restaurant, we'll talk about your restaurant in a moment, but I want you to talk about what it's like to be a chef. We see TV chefs, and that experience is like one hair on a head of hair worth of the experience, okay? It's important for you to explain somehow and help me explain and help me understand. How isolating is it for you as an executive chef if you don't have contact with other chefs? How do you feel if you don't have that contact? What happens?
Well, it can be lonely. I mean, you can ask any chef's wife, you know, or significant other. You know, when you first meet a chef, you're like, oh, this is great. I'm going to marry a chef. I'm going to eat like a king my whole life. And then you find out, oh, wait, no, they're actually cooking for everybody else.
And I'm eating a bag of popcorn for dinner.
Yeah, and I'm having a bag of popcorn and a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
You know, it's funny.
You know,
I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich yesterday for just that same reason. I was like, I can't cook. I got to, you know, there's just too much else.
I don't want to deal with it. I've been cooking all day. I just want to go home and have a peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah.
But you know, it can just be you're locked in your kitchen or you're locked in your restaurant for, you know, 12, 14, 15 hours a day. And then, you know, you're in this hot kitchen, so you're tired. You know, when you leave, you just want to go home, go to bed, have a cocktail or something, and go to bed. So you can rinse and repeat that, you know, forever, and just be in this kind of secluded life. And it, you know, it can get, you know, it can get very, I forget the, you know, lack of a better word, it's a soloist kind of thing where you're,
right.
You know, you're kind of by yourself. And so with this community, it forces everybody to basically not be like that.
Right.
And it's great because you get all of these people throughout the year who just get to, you know, hang out, and we have all these events, and you get to really experience, you know, life in it. It kind of brings you back, and it takes away from the mundane day-to-day drag of, you know, busting your hump in a kitchen for 15 hours a day in a 110-degree kitchen.
Well, what's also fun about it is the wives and girlfriends come, the significant others come. You know, the staff from your restaurants gets to come and meet other staff from other restaurants. In the community, it's like just one big fun experience. And what's kind of cool to me about, first of all, you have a fantastic wife. We adore your wife.
Yeah, she's great. She's the one that pushes me to be better, for sure.
But what's also kind of cool about this is you are from this industry. Like this is who you are. Talk about your story of getting to the place you are today in your career. You chose this as much as you were sort of born into it. And it's important for people to remember that you didn't have to do this, but it did. It did touch you. It does touch you. It does speak to you, and this is who you are. Will you tell that part of the story?
Yeah. So, I mean, my family's grown up having Mama Luisa's for the last, we're going on, we've owned it since 73. It opened in 56. And so, you know, growing up, went to a little Catholic school, and I would go to the restaurant after, which was right down the street, and do my homework. And then my parents would be working either out in the kitchen or out front, and so just to kind of like hang out with them, I just stayed there. And so hey Mom, what can I do? Oh, well, you're 8 years old. Okay, go pick up clean the bust the tables. And then I go into the back and I would want to hang out with Dad. Okay, well Dad, how what can I do? Well, start washing dishes. So I started washing dishes and busting tables at 8, after I was done with my homework, and just stuck with it. Then I was cleaning toilets at 9 in a restaurant. And then Dad started teaching me knife skills, and the rest was history after that, and that's where I found my calling. And I tried to get out of it a couple times. I tried to get into like computer science. I wanted to create video games at some point, and it just came to the point where I was like, this is my calling. I enjoy being in the kitchen. This is where I'm close to my dad, because my dad was a chef and he passed away when I was young. So this is kind of like my way of getting to hang out with him every day is being in a kitchen and that. So that's kind of it just chose me, and I didn't really have too much of a say in it.
I want to make sure that we also point out that your story is got notes of similarity with every one of the contestants. There's something about this life that has chosen them. And the ones that are competing in knife fight are the ones who have the passion to be so completely immersed in it that even on their day off, they're going to come out and do stuff like this because that's who they are and that's what is fun to them. So let's talk about last night's event and who was competing.
Yeah, absolutely. So last night we had the bar fight at first, and then so that you had Zach Deason from Illegal Pete's going against Mike from, I think his last name is Dix, from Playground, and they had a great time. We brought a surprise ingredient that neither one of them I think had ever worked with as a bartender, and that was Huitlacoche.
Yep.
I say that terribly.
But you know what's so funny? The week before, wasn't Virginia and Adolfo, the two competitors in the cocktail fight, saying that they wished that they had Huitlacoche, and I don't know if that was what motivated you guys to go like dig out a can of Huitlacoche or not, but there we were.
No, it just kind of happened that way. We were going through our little bag of goodies that we have each week for people, and I was like, let's give this to the bartenders because this will be fun. Because part of the thing is we want to make these people work for it, and we want to challenge them, and we want them to do things that they're not going to be able to do normally, or that they would have the desire to. I mean, how many bartenders could go to a grocery store and find Huitlacoche and say, "Oh, you know what? I'm going to make a cocktail with that today."
Well, Michael, you know what else is really cool about this? Is if you think about the things that we really enjoy, let's just use the world of wine as an example. Vines that produce grapes for wine that are stressed produce more beautiful, intense flavored fruit with which great wine can be made. There's something about the cycle of growing that requires us to be challenged in order to break through, and because change and growth are hard. Right? And so you can't just do the same old thing you always do and say, oh, yeah, I'm growing because I'm doing something that's really easy for me. No, here's the thing. You've got to grow by doing the stuff that's hard. And this isn't hard per se, but boy, is it challenging. And rise to the moment with all these ingredients. That's the part that's really cool. You're helping everyone raise their game.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's really fun. And you get to see these, Zach competed last year in the bar fight, and he was kind of like a lost puppy when the first time he did it, because he's never experienced it, and then this year he was a pro. He came out, he studied, he had a game plan, he knocked out the best cocktail of the night, and he took home the prize and is moving on to the next week.
And by the way, you know why people should care about this? Because everybody that's getting better while they're competing at knife fight and cocktail fight are going to be better when they serve you the next time you go to their place.
110% agree with you. Yep.
Yep. So who were the chefs last night, and what was the secret ingredient? Because that was a little, I wouldn't have known what to do with it, but that's just because I'm not a cowboy cook.
Yeah, so the first one, you had Ryan Jones from Finney's Landing, and then you had Sam Woodfill. He's the sous chef out at Tankerville Guest Ranch. And Ryan from Finney's brought extra hot Cheetos, crunchy Cheetos. Then Sam, I'm trying to remember what Sam brought. It's misplacing me, but then Isaac from the Hub, which was our playground, was our hosting location. They brought Rocky Mountain oysters. And so when he pulled those out,
besides the groan.
Yeah, besides the groan from the crowd, the eyes of them were just, the two cooks were like, oh my God, I've never cooked this before. Like, what am I going to do with this thing? Then you have no choice. You've got to muster up. You've got to grab your bin. You've got, 10 minutes to run downstairs, come up with your game plan in that 10 minutes, and then you've got to execute.
And if something's called Rocky Mountain oysters, guess what's going to be really most delicious? A little fried oyster.
Yeah, exactly. So Sam delivered. He basically did he soaked them in some buttermilk, peeled the outer skin off, and then gave them a quick another buttermilk soak to get some more flavor into them. Gave them a nice little breading and fried them, and you had
you put a little panko crust on them. I watched him do it. He fried them beautifully.
Yeah. So and they were gorgeous. They were tender. That was my first time having them, actually, honestly, too. And I actually went back for more. I was like, oh, those are really good.
Yeah. Listen, in the less than 30 seconds we have left, tell everybody where the next knife fight is located and where we can get information about it on Facebook.
Yeah, so Facebook, if you go to Tucson Knife Fight, there should be a picture of me and Gary on there. And then all the information you can get from there. And then also next week, Monday, 8:30 at Riley.
Oh, fun.
You're going to have a bar fight and 2 cooking competitions. It's free to come. Please come, enjoy yourself, buy some drinks, buy some food, and have a good time. And it's
Hey,
free.
Michael Elefante, Mama Luisa's, where's it located?
2041 South Craycroft Road.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chef. At the end of this first hour, I want to remind you, hug your kids, count your blessings. And when we see you next, on the next hour, we'll be right back.
KVOI Cortero, AM 1030, the voice of Tucson. Trusted local news and talk. A Bustos media station.
This is CBS News on the Hour. Real news, real reporting.
It's 2:05 p.m. You are tuned in to AM 1030 The Voice, trusted local news and talk. This is Around the Table, live from the City of Gastronomy, where each and every day we have the most interesting and influential newsmakers, lawmakers, style makers, taste makers, movers and shakers, foodies and friends gathered around our table. Each and every day we save the seat at the head of our table for you, our guest of honor, and we break bread together. That delicious Don Guerra Barrio bread, well, there's none better anywhere. So here's the thing. It's election day here in the Old Pueblo, and by the end of the day, we hope we'll have a new mayor. There is a lot of action and activity around this. This has been a very vigorous contest, and to give us a sense about what's going on and where we stand, well, we turn to our friend Kelly Fryer, former gubernatorial candidate. Kelly Fryer joins us now from the campaign trail, where she is out there, and it is still too close to call. Kelly Fryer, welcome.
Hey, thanks, Jennifer. How are you doing today?
I'm kind of excited because we have 2/3 probability that we're going to have the first woman mayor of Tucson.
Well, I'm excited.
Is that the right way to say that?
I don't know if the percentages work out exactly that way, but I think we are facing really whoever is elected today, not only to the mayor's office, but we've got some interesting things happening with our city council as well.
Right.
Tucson has an opportunity this year to really, in some ways, we've got a new start. I mean, we're going to have a new mayor. We've got a new city council. We've got new leadership at Tucson Metro Chamber, at the Hispanic Chamber. I mean, it's an interesting time in Tucson, and I think that is why we've seen really such vigor around this election this year. I think people know change is coming, and everybody wants to have a say into what that looks like.
Talk to me about the uniqueness of this moment in time, because, in fact, it's August 27th. I don't recall voting in August before. I don't recall elections taking place this early. Can you explain to me what's actually happening today?
So today is the primary election for the mayor's race and city council races, and you're right. I bet a lot of people are like, "Wait, what is going on? We have an election in August." Well, the primary elections are always held in August. I think what makes this a little bit unique is that this year there is no primary election on the Republican side for the mayor's race, and so there is an independent candidate running, and I'm sure during the general election, he'll get his due, but it really looks like, in a lot of ways, and we can't take it for granted, but it looks like whoever wins the primary election on the Democratic side today for the mayor's race in Tucson has a very likely chance of being elected mayor in the general election in November. So I think that probably is a little confusing for people. We're not electing a mayor today. We're choosing the candidates who will represent their parties in the general election in November. There are 3 candidates running on the Democratic side for mayor of Tucson, and the one who comes out victorious today will most likely be elected mayor in November. But we're not quite there yet, and I think it's important for people to understand that. So thanks for asking that question.
What I want to make sure we also make clear is that your analysis of this is really quite keen, in part because we have historical context and perspective to tie this into. When's the last time we had a Republican mayor?
Oh my gosh,
it's been a while.
Yes, it has been a while. I mean, it's not completely uncommon here in Tucson. I think that folks have this idea about what the Tucson electorate looks like, but the GOP, the Republican Party in Tucson, has really struggled over these last years. And but
well, let me ask you. Let me ask.
Had a woman.
I know this is.
And
really...
I'm excited personally about the opportunity of electing our first and possibly our first Latina mayor. It's very exciting.
And I wanted to give you the chance to talk about, is there still a chance for people to vote, and is there still canvassing going on? If I don't have a ballot in my hands to mail in, and we should also tell people, this isn't one of those elections where you go to the elementary school down the street and that's where you're going to your polling place. There's a couple elements of this that are a little bit different. This is one of those where you have to get a ballot, correct?
That is correct, and you need to be registered as a Democrat in order to vote in the Democratic primary. There are, I believe, 7 polling places that are open today. A lot of folks, if you're registered to vote, you got a ballot in the mail. Don't send your ballot if it's still sitting on your kitchen table. Do not put it in the mail. It won't be counted. You have to actually take it to one of the 7 polling places around the city. And the Arizona Daily Star has posted those polling places, so you can go to their website, their Facebook page, and you can find where those polling places are. I'm sure each of the candidates also have that information posted on their websites and on their social media pages as well.
And part of the reason we're so grateful to you for coming on the show today and reminding us of these things are because there's just a little bit of, it's a little idiosyncratic how this election is taking place. You have to bring your ballot today. If you haven't already mailed it, you have to bring it in today. You can't mail it in today. And
that's right. Yeah.
And that is really, really important. If you want to get the list of places, we're going to look this up and we'll remind you throughout the rest of this hour. And I know the rest of the hosts are going to be talking about this through the end of the voting day. Kelly Fryer is our guest, and she was a gubernatorial candidate in the state of Arizona representing our community magnificently. And I will continue to and always be grateful to you for leading by example and showing up to make a difference and serving. Talk a little bit, if you will. I know you've been working for Regina Romero, and for people who are listening to this, I wanted to give you a chance to talk a little bit about why you think she's a really fantastic candidate.
Well, I have known and worked with Regina for these last years. She has been such a strong advocate for small businesses in Tucson, not just on the west side and south side, but really across the city. And I think that I'm not sure she gets enough credit a lot of times for the work that she's done to really drive economic development here in Tucson in a way that benefits everybody.
Right.
I mean, she was a primary mover, a force in getting the streetcar into Tucson. She really, helped wrangle a city council that wasn't necessarily sure they liked this idea very much. She has really been a consensus builder on our city council, helping folks come together to support big economic development projects in the downtown area, but also across the city. And she really has just a kind of very humble way of presenting herself. And she's very collaborative. She's very much about bringing people together. And I think she just hasn't gotten the credit that she deserves. But I have seen firsthand in my work here in Tucson the impact of what Regina has brought. Really struggling with lack of water in this monsoon season. I don't think that we can underestimate how significant this is to the future of Tucson, socially, culturally, economically. And Rahina's got realistic plans for helping us address those issues in Tucson. I like Randy Dorman a lot. I was really excited. I mean, in some ways, she reminded me a little bit of myself when she jumped into the race. And I think that both Rahina and Randy have run very positive, very, very issue-focused, hopeful campaigns. And I'd be excited about either of them, honestly. But I'm Team Rahina. She's been on city council doing the work. I think she's ready for this job. I think people probably underestimate her, but she's ready, and I'm all in for her.
I have to ask the hard question,
election.
though, Kelly Fryer. I have to ask the hard question, because I'm
Sure.
a Rahina. I'm going to ask this, and I think it's important to consider. How can we afford to lose her from the city council? She's really a consensus builder. How will she continue to do that? Will she have the same clout? Will she have the same influence if she's mayor? Can she still help our city the same way?
Oh, I think absolutely. I mean, first of all, she has a vote,
Yeah.
as mayor. Secondly, as mayor, you really do get to set the tone. I mean, you get, you're the first place the media is going to go to for a quote. You're standing up there giving the state of the city address every year. You're, helping to set the agenda for the city. And I think that having a voice like Rahina's, which is experienced, collaborative, unifying, and really a voice for all the people of Tucson, I think that's exciting.
That's good to hear. Let's remind everybody that today is voting day for the Democratic primary. There are 7 locations, and you have until 7 p.m. today to drop off your ballot, including the Tucson City Clerk Elections Center at 800 East 12th Street, the Parks and Recreation Administration Building on Randolph Park at 900 South Randolph Way, the William Clements Recreation Center at 8155 East Ponciana Drive, the Donna Liggins Recreation Center at 2160 North 6th Avenue, the Morris K. Udall Regional Center over on Tanque Verde at 7200 East Tanque Verde, the El Pueblo Senior Center at 101 West Irvington Road, and the Department of Housing and Community Development at 320 North Commerce Park Loop until 7 p.m. today. Kelly Fryer is our guest. Before we let you go, and I'm enormously grateful for your time today in explaining this and helping us grasp why this unusual election is really such a powerful and potent, important one. Can you, just before you go, talk about leadership and how this is an election that mirrors the growth of this city? You were talking about climate change. We just got news that Amazon is bringing 3,000 new jobs, and yet we're thinking about the fact that in the short term and long term, our viability needs some really strong leadership. Is the Tucson we are growing into the one that we've become and are continuing to grow into something that you can help explain to us and what we need right now and how this moment in time calls for a certain kind of leadership?
Well, Tucson, I love Tucson. I love the way it feels, like a small town.
Right.
But, and I think there's so many things about that, that it's just the kind of friendliness that you find here, the accessibility, how easy it is to, to get around, to access different parts of the city, even to have access to, the leaders, the kind of movers and shakers, we run into each other at, our favorite watering hole and so on. There's so many good things. But I also think that, and I say this with just all kinds of love and respect, that I think that there's this idea that we're a small town when actually we are a good size and growing city.
Right.
And I think it's time for us to shake off some of the kind of neighborhood squabbles and the kind of turf protection that has really hampered our ability to deal with the big issues that we. We're a small town with some big problems. Climate change is one of them. The poverty rate that continues to just kind of be so stubborn in this town. The fact that, 1 out of 4 of our neighbors lives at or below the poverty line.
And we have kids with food insecurity. So many children live food insecure. So many neighbors live food insecure.
That's exactly right. And, the real lack of economic opportunity for folks that are living in low income, lack of opportunity kinds of situations. And we need to deal with this. I have worked very close to the grassroots for the last number of years. And what I sense among so many of our neighbors is just deep frustration and deep impatience and anger. And it's understandable. The leadership of this town, which, let's be honest, it has been predominantly, in the business community and so on, it has been predominantly white, upper class. And I think that we have been ignoring the frustration and the anger that people in our community feel at our own peril. And I think what we need in leadership right now is somebody like Rahina, who comes from, from within the community and has done organizing within the community, but also has experience in government, understands how government works, understands how to get things done, understands how to attract a business to this city. I think in some ways Rahina is exactly the kind of leader we need right now, because she can really, I think she sees all of us, and I think that she has the ability to bring us together to begin really tackling these huge challenges that we face in Tucson. I think we're at a critical moment. Our friend Tim Steller our friends at the Arizona Daily Star have been hammering Rahina around the amount of contributions that have been made on her behalf, not to her, but on her behalf, by groups like Chispa, it's a environmental group, Planned Parenthood, which advocates for women's rights and so on. And I think that these groups understand what's at stake.
Mm-hmm.
We're living in the Trump era, in a mean, kind of a mean, nasty era when the issues that we care about, the environment, poverty, equitable economic development, racism, care of our neighbors, including our immigrant neighbors, these things are so controversial and so difficult. And here in Tucson, we have an opportunity to set a different course. And I think that's why so many people are interested in this election and really going to bat for their candidates.
Kelly Fryer, thank you so much. I am so grateful for you coming in and putting this in perspective. And, the thing that strikes me about Rahina's campaign and the way that you're contextualizing it is it's not just enough that she can get everybody to come to the table. She'll know what to do and serve to make things happen, is what I hear you saying, once we all get there.
That's right. Well, Jennifer, I could do this all day long. I appreciate the opportunity to share my thoughts with you, and I love Tucson, and it's going to be a different day tomorrow, no matter what happens today.
Thank you very much, and you know what? You're welcome anytime. You are brilliant at this, and in fact, you can do this all day. I would love to have you come back again soon. But thanks for explaining this for us and putting it all in perspective. Reminding everybody today is Election Day. Please go out and vote. Kelly Fryer can be found. Where's the website you want to send everybody to?
Oh, I want to send them to Regina Romero's website, of course, and to her social media pages. But I think the Arizona Daily Star has got some great information, and I appreciate that you are telling people on the air where the voting places are. Please continue to do that today until 7 o'clock tonight. I hope everybody gets out and votes.
Regina, I'm sure we'll be talking about this again soon in the days to come, but thank you so much. Kelly Fryer, I really appreciate you being here with us. We're going to take a very quick break. Up next, our friend Linda Ray, the comedy correspondent and contributor for the Tucson Weekly, telling us where the funny stuff is coming up. This is Around the Table live from the City of Gastronomy on AM 1030 The Voice. Trusted local news and talk. We'll be right back. .29 p.m. and Linda Ray is a fixture in Tucson's comedy community. She is the comedy correspondent in the Tucson Weekly. And each week she comes and tells us about this really rich, vibrant culture of comedy that exists in the Old Pueblo in ways that many people might not realize. From her own work in the improv team she is a part of, to the actual shows that she's had a hand in reviewing and covering, it is really an enormous, grateful opportunity that I have every week to talk to her about funny, because as everybody that knows me knows, the only thing I like better than eating is laughing. Linda Ray joins us now from, I'm going to imagine, some bourbon-soaked
dance with
comedy
your
hall.
break music. Oh, I've been dancing around to your break music. But boy, I could listen to Kelly Fryer all day long.
Right? I know.
I love her view of the world. It's always 30,000 feet. You know, here's where we are in the big picture. It must be hard to live like that, but I'm glad somebody does. Yeah. So the election today.
Is there anything funny? Is there anything funny about this election? Is there anything funny about politics? It seems so bleak.
No, absolutely not. No. So here's what I recommend. The thing about politics is, what is it for? It's to keep us on a path, to keep us in community. It's funky. It doesn't always work that way, but you know it works that way, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
You got food and you've got comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking tomorrow we all need to get together for just like a big family kind of party and hang out, and everybody can have their say and make comedy. So let's all go to the screening room for the open mic, because it is a great Tucson story how that came about. It's a 190-seat theater, the screening room downtown, as you probably know. And there's been a group called the Strata Company that's been trying to fill it with good things for Tucson. They have a philosophy that I just love, and I think you love it too. They're all about democratizing the arts.
Wow.
Think about that, right? We think about the arts as being up in the sky, you know, like you think about comedy as who's at the Fox, you know, who's at the Rialto, who's the big ticket. And the unique thing, as we talked about Tucson comedies, is very grassroots. It's like the music here in the 80s was actually a national leader in punk rock because it was creative. We're stuck here in the desert. We have to make our own thing. And Tucson artists rise to the occasion. Artists move here because of that. But in any case, so what happens is we have comedy all over town. Now, there's this company called Strata Company, which is like a foundation, and it supports grassroots arts things like the Fringe Festival, like different art projects. Last month they had a performance of what's called The Ronde. It's a very famous old play, but they gave each of the 10 scenes a different director to take in a completely different direction. It's really creative stuff, and it gives like 10 directors in Tucson a place for their work. Who knew we had 10 directors?
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Right. So, and now we have 100 maybe comics. We had, like, just even a year ago, we had 45 or 50 that would show up for one open mic a week. Now we have open mics almost every single night of the week in Tucson. And one of the biggest is coming up tomorrow night. It's every week on Wednesday at the screening room. It was started by the Strata Company. It's being continued by a local producer. And every week it's attracting more people. Usually there are 20 or so comics. And the best news is they just scored with the city of Tucson an opportunity to do a comedy night at the screening room on second Saturday, starting in November.
So help me wrap my brain around everything you just said. Where am I going to go, and when am I going to go there?
Oh, right. I'm sorry, I can't keep it short. Okay, tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, you want to be at the screening room.
Which is located where?
It's on Congress Street. It's across the street from the old Chicago Music. You want me to give you an address, don't you?
No, that's okay, because it's right next to...
Everybody have Siri.
No, I know.
Right next to Empire Pizza. Yeah.
Right, and I want to remind everybody that the one website that we always send people to, in addition to Tucson Weekly, is...
Oh, yeah, TucsonComedy.com.
I love you.
Yeah, I know, well, it's only been, it takes me a while. I'm old, So, TucsonComedy.com. Everybody needs to go there because you may not want to go to the screening room tomorrow. You might want to go to another comedy show. Every week in Tucson, there could be as many as 20 comedy shows, and the only place to find them is TucsonComedy.com. I do as many as I can in the weekly, which comes out on Thursday at your nearby place that has the weekly. And I'll be talking about the background of the Strata Company and this Wednesday comedy show in this week's column. But tomorrow, if you want to laugh in community with friends and neighbors and forget any conflict you had in your mind or with friends about politics, this is the way to do it. Even the Mayo Clinic says it.
Okay, but here's the thing I want to know. Is the kind of thing that's going on in Tucson where we go from one comedy club to comedy everywhere the same thing that's happening around the country?
No. No, and I'll tell you why. You go to Phoenix, and there are 6 comedy clubs. Now, grant you, it's like 3 or 4 times our size, but still, they're located all around town. Here we just have the one, and it's very central. Last Comedy Cafe has been there for 40 years on Broadway. I think it was 2900 East Broadway. But we're trying to get comedy out to the neighborhoods. We're all about comedy for the people.
Comedy for the people. I love that as a tagline, and that's TucsonComedy.com. Linda Ray is our comedy correspondent. She joins us every week with a look at what is coming up this weekend that's going to be fun and funny, where we can go to laugh, and where we can go to laugh with other people. We'll laugh with people, not at them.
Let me say one other thing, because your listeners are going to love it. This is the week we have comedy at Tony's Deli on Saturday night. $15 includes an Italian buffet at Tony's.
Wait. What?
Tony's Deli, Tony's Italian Deli on East Broadway. You get an Italian buffet. Last time it was packed because Chad Lerman, who does Tucson Foodie, wrote it up in his newsletter. But you go eat Italian, you sit outside under a big tent, and you watch comedy. And that's a family for you right there.
And that's on Saturday night.
That's on Saturday night.
That's awesome. All right, Linda Ray, thank you so much. We're going to take a very quick break. And when we come back, we are going to take you to Sonoran Restaurant Week. It is right around the corner. This weekend, we're going to hit September 1. And right after that, we're going to celebrate the extraordinary cuisine that is the region of Sonora. Did you know that's where we are? And that's why it's called Sonoran Restaurant Week? Yeah, we'll be back with Laura Reese right after this. You are listening to Around the Table, live from the City of Gastronomy, AM 1030 The Voice. Trusted local news and talk. We'll be back with more right after this. .39 p.m. and we are here live around the table in the City of Gastronomy on AM 1030 The Voice. Trusted local news and talk for 10 days. 10 delicious days and nights coming up very, very soon. we will be celebrating the Sonoran Restaurant Week. To talk about it is the founder of Sonoran Restaurant Week, Laura Reese. She joins us now from the menu printing station, where I imagine she's very, very busy. Laura, how are you?
I'm good. Hi, Jennifer. How are you doing?
Awesome. So listen, from September 6th through September 15th, 10 delicious days of dining. It's Sonoran Restaurant Week. How did this come about?
Oh, my gosh. Thank you so much for having me on the show. Yeah, this came about. We were talking with Visit Tucson, and we said, hey, Southern Arizona, Tucson does not have its own dedicated restaurant week. Let's change that. Let's make it happen. We've got so many amazing and unique restaurants here that celebrate all of what we are here in the Southern Arizona region. And why don't we do a restaurant week to celebrate what we do best?
One of the things everybody's going to say, what is Sonoran Restaurant Week versus Tucson Restaurant Week? How did that distinction get made?
We wanted to be able to include the whole region. So yes, definitely it also includes Tucson, but outside of Tucson, and whether it's Wilcox and Wine, the Nogales region, we've got so many amazing producers of food and ways to experience and explore food that are outside the city of Tucson borders that we wanted to be able to include that and grow it into our region here.
So talk a little bit about what's going to happen next week when we kick off the Sonoran Restaurant Week, because this is the first time it's been done, as I understand it.
Yep, first inaugural year. So we have 32 restaurants on board this year. All of those participating restaurants, you can actually check out and see who they are at SonoranRestaurantWeek.com. But all of those 32 restaurants are supplying special prefix 3-course menus at the restaurants those weeks for either special $25 or $35 pricing, which is a total discount from what you can normally get at those restaurants.
And these are
some of the restaurants.
Yep.
I'm sorry?
Go ahead and tell us, because just by we're talking about places that have a range of cuisine that represent where we are in time and place, culinarily speaking.
Absolutely. So everything from Maria at Boca Tacos, she's doing a special menu that you can't normally get at Boca Tacos. That is entirely a celebration for her hometown in Sonora, Mexico. Everything from there, you can go up to Flying V at Ventana Canyon. Chef Ken Harvey there has put together an incredible menu that really features a lot of their specialty items that are always on the menu. But I believe that you can get, I priced it out, if you actually order all 3 course items individually on the menu, it's like a $57 menu tab, but you can get it all for $35 during Sonoran Restaurant Week.
Thank you, Chef Ken. I've worked with Chef Ken Harvey at Lowe's for a long time. I've been a long friend of the house. And I have to tell you, it's really great to see him growing into his regional role in the Lowe's group. He's been recognized for his extraordinary talent, and for him to be doing this with us is amazing.
Oh, he's a complete pro. He's fantastic. So similarly, there's a lot of other restaurants. Hacienda del Sol, you can get... Again, you can get the whole 3-course menu for $35 there. So it's really a combination. It's a mixture of restaurants that are doing specialty items just for the week, or restaurants that are choosing items that are their best sellers, favorites, their home run items that they want to be able to feature because it tells best what they do as a restaurant. And you can actually peruse those menus now at SonoranRestaurantWeek.com.
Oh, fun.
And start to plan out, oh my gosh, I have to try that dish at Saguaro Corners, or I've really got to check out Boca. And you can actually plan out your week now by looking at those menus on the website.
I want you to give us a sense about the things that you, as an insider, having read all these menus, because it might seem overwhelming to some of us that don't go out all the time, and myself included. I know a lot of these folks from over the years, but restaurants change and staff changes. What are some of the things you want to make sure we're thinking about? Are we looking for a taste of place, or is this just a specific moment in time? Where would you steer us to make sure what's been exciting that you've read about that you want to make sure we don't miss?
Oh my gosh, it's so hard to pick. There's so many great things that are happening. But this is one tip that I would suggest. Sonoran Restaurant Week is a great opportunity to support and be able to go back to some of your favorite spots as well as try new spots. So I would encourage you to pick one of your favorite places to go and be able to celebrate what that restaurant does well. And then look at the menu and pick a place that maybe you've never been before. This is a great opportunity to try something new.
Oh, fun. I like that idea. I like that idea a lot. So try one new place and try one favorite place.
Exactly. And I think, too, one thing that we're really trying to do with this experience is, well, one, we have a fantastic food festival culture here. We have a lot of incredible food festivals that really give a chance for the community to gather together in one place to celebrate what makes us delicious. But what Sonoran Restaurant Week does is it kind of takes it one step further. Once you've had that food festival experience, you get perhaps a smaller sample of something on a plate where you get to have a bite-sized taste of what that restaurant is. Obviously, a restaurant and the experience of dining out is so much more than just a sample on a plate. It's the staff that greets you when you walk in the door. It's the way that the restaurant is decorated. It's the ambiance. It's the music. It's the energy that you feel coming from the kitchen when you're sitting in the dining room. So what Sonoran Restaurant Week gives a chance to do is to see entirely plated items, actually get a real feel for the story of that restaurant by sitting inside and really experiencing it from a full level there.
And sort of making the full connection, not just getting it into your, on your radar screen. You don't just want to know about it. You want to get to know it. And the way you get to know it is through tasting it. And, that's why a lot of chefs and restaurateurs will go and do those tasting events. I'll just pick one, but there are literally a dozen fantastic events, including things like Knife Fight, including things like the Gastronomic Union of Tucson Dinners, or the event for the Boys and Girls Club. These are all terrific events, but if you really want to get to know, you get turned on to some of these places, but you really want to make the connection by going back.
Exactly. And I mean, to me too, the dining, it's the experience of being in the brick and mortar space. But it's also sitting with friends, it's laughing, it's connecting with the people that I know well. So, grab a couple friends and go check out these restaurants with friends during Sonoran Restaurant Week.
Well, Laura, I hope you and I get to break bread next week for Sonoran Restaurant Week. But you know my favorite word. You know my favorite restaurant word. Conviviality. I know.
Yes, I knew it.
Thank you for helping us shine a light on this beautiful, delicious place and giving us an opportunity to cultivate some conviviality together. Laura Reese, the website is
SonoranRestaurantWeek.com.
Thank you so much for making time to be with us. Up next, the one and only Sally Kane. She is a second-generation restaurateur in the Old Pueblo. And her beloved Coronet on 9th Street, just at 4th Avenue, was welcoming people with some of the greatest savoir-faire in town. But now the Coronet is the Libertine, and the Coronet has moved. And if you've been following the news, Sally Kane's dream moved to one of Tucson's all-time most historic and beloved locations, right in the heart of it all. To join us for a few minutes during restaurant's opening week, the Coronet's own Sally Kane. How are you, my friend?
I'm really well. What an incredible introduction, Jennifer. That was so lovely. Thank you.
You might be the only person I know who could take a beloved institution like the Coronet from a really stylish, fantastic location and find the next place and make it be everything and then some more. You are one of the few people I know who could do that. You have done magic. You saw an opportunity, and to tell everybody about it, I'm going to let you take the floor. What are you doing?
Oh, well, we've been doing a lot, and we're so excited. The blessed is the only word I can think of, or grateful that we've had the opportunity to be able to go into that 160-year-old historic territorial adobe and just shower it with all the love we could find all around us and within us. And we're just beyond to be able to open it back up to the public. And we do so on Friday. And I'm exhausted, as you can tell. So I think the gift to my employees is I'm going to get 8 hours sleep tonight.
Okay.
But we're just beyond the moon. We've been working our tushies off front and back of the house to be able to bring to Tucson our vision for that space.
So let's just talk about the fact that you're moving to a location not too far from the convention center, but you are growing. It's going to be a little bit of a bigger restaurant. You got more of a kitchen now, and that
It's
means
so much bigger.
And you
yeah.
can, and this means you get to take the philosophy and the mission and the art of the Coronet and fully realize it in ways that it feels like maybe workshopping before. As brilliant as it was, now it's time to go to the equivalent of Broadway.
It's absolutely true. I mean, we're still the same. I mean, the vibe, even though it's a totally different space. I think when people walk in, they'll feel the vibe of our family and our family of spaces. And we, even though we have a much more expansive kitchen than, and mostly the utensils and space in the kitchen, I think the menu is going to be very welcome to anyone who has been a guest and a returning guest to the Coronet to see that it is still very much so the Coronet.
For people who were not able to get to the original Coronet, maybe they're new to town, maybe they're freshmen, or maybe they're, I don't know, living under a rock. But let's just say people don't know the Coronet. What would you describe the Coronet dream as?
For me, it's the first and foremost is hospitality and ambiance and honesty. For me, it's real food on the plate, so I always consider our food to have classic sensibilities, but to be very honestly presented. We've always had a love affair with international cuisine, which we maintain and let ourselves trip around the world, engaging with it and bringing it home. And it's about creating spaces and service that let the guest fully be present and enjoy where they're at. They shouldn't have to be looking for something. We should be doing our jobs and making sure all their needs are getting met so they can sit back and really enjoy the time they're spending there with their friends and family.
So, Sally, I hear you describing this sense of anticipation of a guest's needs, which is one of the absolute hallmarks of true hospitality. And as somebody who grew up in the business, I want to have you talk a little bit about how you discovered and learned, literally, from the masters, at what hospitality Tucson style looks and tastes like and feels like.
I wish we could, well, I don't know exactly what the wish is, but running service the way it used to be run back in the day. So my father had a 5-star, and when you're a 5-star, here in Tucson, the very, 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 very first thing that is utmost important is 5-star service. Now, that's pretty much unachievable today by anyone who isn't in, a city and a restaurant that can command the kind of prices that that kind of staff would need, because you need servers with multiple back servers or even one back server that are dedicated teams. It's very, very hard these days to do that. But So to speak to that, what that meant was being at my father's restaurant as a child, you might think you wanted something. You're like, maybe I want a little more water. Maybe there should be another whole thing of butter. Or maybe if there was just extra sauce with this dish it would just appear before the thought could finish, it would appear. I mean, I don't think anyone ever asked for anything at one of my dad's restaurants. Like it just was there because there was like, if you had a 5-top, there'd be 5 servers. It was how it was. That's impossible these days, but that level, trying to reach that with what we can do is the goal. It's making sure that as soon as someone steps into our home, that they are truly our guests from the moment they enter to the moment they leave. Even if they've paid the bill and are hanging out another hour drinking water, we are minding them from afar. We are bringing them what they might need, and we are available if they look up to come and to make sure that all of their needs are being met. We're trying to get them everything they need prior to their needing it, and just being conscious of that service, of those steps of service. If we do that in a respectful, quiet way, there should be a seamlessness of enjoyment for the guests. They shouldn't really be noticing. We're not chatting to them too much or interrupting them. We are there for them, and it should be about them and the food. And it's something I talk to my staff about all the time. It's something I watch for when I'm on the floor. I am so proud of our chef, Moody Albarrasi. I am beyond excited for this menu to hit Tucson. And I really the food should shine and the space should shine, and the staff should be there to facilitate it.
That is so awesome. How do you want this to make your guests?
See everyone out there like I'm just a rambling old mess right now.
No, I love it. I love it. I want to ask you, how do you want this to make your guests feel?
For me, it has a few different layers. One is well cared for. I think we all need to feel well cared for in our lives, and if we can get a moment of it in our day, that is a very priceless feeling, to feel that you're taken care of. I also want them to, if it's possible, and I know you've heard me talk about this before, it's like to become present.
Right.
If we're doing our jobs, then when someone decides to go out for a meal and maybe have a wonderful glass of wine and some food, there's a chance that if we aren't doing our job, they're going to be looking for something and needing something. And if everything's delicious and all their needs are met, they can be present and engage with themselves or their company or the book they're reading or whatever it is they're choosing to do that lets them just not be behind themselves or in front of themselves. So that's what I'm looking for.
Sally Kane, the restaurant is called Coronet, and as I recall, the Hermanita, is that opening as well on Friday?
Oh, my God, I'm so excited. No. Fonda La Hermanita is opening in a month.
Okay.
We've postponed it slightly because our beloved chef Moody is representing Tucson for the City of UNESCO in Turkey next week.
Yes.
We're so excited for him.
That's a huge deal, by the way. And we'll talk about that a little.
It's super, super cool. And I'm just beyond the moon for him. But I want to make sure that our other chef, Erica Bostic, who will be, guiding that beautiful little fonda, is available as support to our whole team. So we've just pushed the fonda a few weeks.
Okay.
And that's okay. Everyone's groovy and happy. We're all excited. Everything's exactly taking place when it should. And when those doors open, which will be the very end of September or the first of the next month, we will be there waiting with homegrown, beautifully fresh, small bursting flavors of Mexican.
Sally Kane and the Coronet are opening this Friday. Don't forget, get it on your calendar, get it on your date book. We'll be there. We're going to wish you lots and lots of luck and love. And we've got about a minute left, and one of the rock stars of this mayoral campaign, one of the bright rising stars of this campaign is Sky Dorman. She is in the studios with us with her mom. I'm going to give her the last word today on why we hope you will go out and bring your ballot by 7 p.m. to any of the 7 locations, including the Tucson City Clerk Elections Office. Sky, last word for you. Hi, thanks for being here.
Yeah, my mom is just a pretty amazing person, and she has all the skills to take Tucson to the next level. So vote for Randy.
and my good friend Randy Dorman joins us in the studios.
Hi,
I am going to give the two of
Jennifer.
you. I am so happy to see the two of you smiling together.
I know what an exciting day.
Listen, we've got 4 hours left. What do you want to tell people in the 30 seconds we have?
We are going to move Tucson forward, turn Tucson into a thriving 21st century city that is rooted in our culture, our quirkiness, our heritage. We need to create those opportunities so that we can all live here successfully. I can't wait. Please vote for Randy Dorman before 7 p.m. tonight.
And when you get home today, after you vote, make sure you hug your kids and count your blessings. Up next, more with Randy and Sky on the John C. Scott Show. We'll see you tomorrow.